let's talk about this whole business then, because, of course, we've got the business of Boris resigning. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has accused Labour leader Keir Starmer of letting eco-zealots dictate the energy policy. This comes after it revealed that the Labour Party received £1.5 million from Dale Vince, who happens to be one of the biggest Just Stop Oil backers, although I've met him, and to be fair to him, and I'll give him his dues, he did say he would back any party that went along with any eco policy. So that is fair enough. Lots of people back different parties. Meanwhile, Sir Keir Starmer has vowed to stop further oil and gas exploration in the North Sea in a bid to make Britain a green energy superpower. But industry bosses have warned that this could lead to 45,000 job losses in the future. All of this after Green Party MP Caroline Lucas has said that she'll step down at the next general election to focus on activism. So I'm joined now by Just Stop Oil spokesperson Sean Irish. Sean, OK, talk to me, Sean. So this is, we spoke the other day. So let's just get your thoughts. And Keir Starmer is saying that he is going wholeheartedly along with this prospect. In your view, I'm sure you're going to say this is the right way to go about it, but do you believe it's actually really sustainable?
Hi, Nana. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, I'm from Just Stop Oil. We're demanding that the UK government end new fossil fuel licences. And yes, of course, ending new oil and gas licences is the way to go. That needs to be done as a just transition. We don't want a repeat of Margaret Thatcher in the coal mine, so we do need to make sure we do it responsibly.
But in what sort of time period, then, in your view, do you think that we will no longer need oil and gas, then? Because if we're going to stop drilling for it here, that will mean that we'll have to get it from other countries if we need it, because that's the way it is. So in the end, surely there'll be a greater carbon footprint going off to another country to get oil and gas from them instead of being self-sufficient.
Well, the UK as it stands currently isn't self-sufficient anyway because it's owned by private companies and it's sold to the highest bidder. So that doesn't really make a difference in the UK markets as it's not owned by the UK people. If we want to be independent and we want to have a green energy system, then we need to invest in green energy here in the UK, providing green jobs here in the UK.
So if you're saying that it's run by other countries, this oil and gas and the drilling, then what's your beef then? Because those other companies from other countries could carry on drilling. We could still use their oil and gas. Why would we stop that? Even if we had our own resources, we may need oil and gas. We'll need those fuels to do certain things. For example, things like in agriculture, things like making concrete. We'll just buy it from outside if we don't produce it ourselves.
So obviously the climate doesn't exist in a vacuum. We are needing the world to change as well. The UK is part of a global economy that needs to start shifting away from fossil fuel industries. You know, we've got the International Energy Agency saying it, the World Health Organization saying it, the UN saying it. For God's sake, the Pope is saying that we need to end new oil and gas. And as a good Catholic myself, you know, I'm going to have to listen to the Pope on this one.
Yeah, some of those organisations may well say it, but a lot of them are relying heavily on it as well. So a lot of them are talking with regard to hypocrisy. But listen, if you are genuine with this, then why are you not going to places like China and other countries that are heavy polluters, that are doing far more damage in that respect than we are? So we will be importing things from those countries who are producing and giving out loads of carbon dioxide and loads of greenhouse gases. Why is your campaign solely focused in this country?
Well, it might surprise you, but I live in this country, and that's why I target this country. There's a group in America called the Clear Climate Emergency. They target America. There's a group in Canada called Save Old Growth. They target Canada. There's a group in Germany called Last Generation. They target Germany. Oddly enough, people target the countries that they live in. You know, the UK suffragettes were not demanding for the American government to grant them the right to vote. They were demanding that the UK government grant them the right to vote. It's not really an odd concept where you exist in the country you're in, and therefore that's where you take action.
Well, it is a bit when you're talking about a global climate. As you said, it's a global situation. And a lot of things that you're focusing on, other countries are far worse polluters. So my thing to you is we contribute about 1% of the CO2 in the environment. So even if we stop our little 1%, that's only 1%. What difference will that make?
So, Nana, it's a bit of a false economy that. So the UK produces 1% of global emissions domestically, and that's a very important word, domestically. So the UK government produces up to 16% of the world's global emissions once you take in our financial sector, once you add in travel, once you add in military, once you add in everything else. The UK is no longer an industrial heartland like it once was. Our industry is now in China, it's in India, it's in somewhere
Yes.
else. So you
Yes.
cannot say that the UK emissions don't exist just because we've moved them somewhere else.
Yeah, but you've just
They're
said
still
that you're
produced
not.
for the UK.
Yeah, but you've just said that you're not going to do anything apart from in the UK. So if you're only focusing on the UK with our 1%, then what about the places that are higher? Even if we buy things from China where they have more emissions, those emissions will carry on.
No,
If you
no,
just
I-
spoke,
no,
hang
what I
on,
said
no,
was
I'll let you
your
finish.
stat
No,
was
no,
irrelevant because you're talking about
I'll let you
domestic.
finish. Sorry, this is a two-way thing. So you wait till I finish and then you speak. Yeah, so my point is quite simple. You said you're not going to go to anywhere like China, and because, as you said correctly, there's different groups in different places that do their own thing. But you've also accepted that it is 1%, but then you said it's a false economy because we get things from other countries and we do flying and all these things. That's not going to stop, even if we stop all our whatever you want. So the 1% may end up being 0%, but the other percentages all around the world will continue, especially in places like China. So to be honest, I don't really understand why you think that you're going to make a difference with this.
Do you think two wrongs make a right?
Well, hang on a minute. So you're asking me a question. I've asked you a question. You answer my question, and then I can answer yours. You answer mine first.
Do you think the UK government has the right to subject millions of people to their deaths? Because 1% is still millions of people's lives that the UK government is messing with. Do you think two wrongs make a right? If China's not perfect, should UK not have to be perfect? It's a silly dichotomy. Why should we wait for every other country to be perfect before we even start to make the necessary changes?
Your sums are wrong. 1% isn't millions, by the way. And actually, I don't understand how you're catastrophizing us losing 1% of the emissions within this country, whereas you also admit that you're not going to protest in other countries that are the real polluters of it. So to be honest with you, Sean, I think that the fact that your campaign to do this will impoverish way more people seems somewhat obscure, especially the way you're protesting. Listen, Sean, I've got to go to the news, but we'll reconvene that. Sean Irish is from Just Stop Oil. You're with me. I'm Nana Akua. This is GB News on TV, online and on digital radio. On the way, imagine surviving cancer and then getting the jab to prevent it from coming back. Well, that could be the future. Stay tuned. Find out about this groundbreaking